The challenges facing our planet's most vital resource, water, they're just growing exponentially.
They really are.
And we're talking about issues that go way beyond just like engineering or hydrology.
Oh, absolutely. They're deeply human societal.
Exactly. And they demand this extraordinary kind of leadership. That's precisely why today's deep dive is all about these water-related leadership development programs.
Right.
We're really zooming in on a critical question, almost unsettling, that came out of a recent study.
Which is?
Are these programs actually preparing leaders for, the escalating complexities of the 21st century's water crisis, or are we falling short?
Yeah, that's the core of it. And to unpack that, we're diving into the findings from an exploratory study. It was published in the Journal of Leadership Education
Right.
by Mark Burbeck, Kristen Flores, and Eric Kaufman. So our mission here is really to rigorously examine their insights and figure out if current programs are actually building the necessary skills, the abilities for effective water leadership, or if there's, a significant gap.
Okay, so managing water resources, it's always been tough, right? Dealing with natural variability, weather.
Is that the baseline?
But what are the new factors making it so much more complex now? I mean, you have those traditional hurdles, but what's piling on top?
That's a great question. You're absolutely right to highlight that baseline.
Yeah.
Beyond those historical challenges, we're now grappling with really significant impacts from, accelerating climate change and variability.
Okay, that's a big one.
Huge. And think about the massive land use shifts we're seeing.
Urbanization.
Exactly. Rapid urbanization pushing demand way up, and then increasing agricultural intensity straining supplies. Then layer on the sheer consequences of projected global population growth, migration. It puts immense pressure on resources that are already finite. And it doesn't stop there. We're seeing decreasing freshwater biodiversity, rising pollution levels impacting both availability and quality,
Right.
and a worrying surge in conflicts between different water users.
I can imagine.
All this is happening while communities face tighter budgets, increased fiscal constraints.
Yeah.
And the traditional roles, federal, state, local, non-governmental, they're getting increasingly blurred. It's messy.
It sounds like it's not just more problems, but fundamentally different kinds of problems.
Precisely.
So if the conventional leadership skills are becoming less effective, what specifically is missing? What new capabilities are we talking about?
Well, the study really emphasizes that leadership in this context isn't just about, managing the existing systems.
It's more proactive.
Much more. It's needed to, and I'm quoting here, initiate and drive change, enable innovation,
Okay.
build shared visions for a more sustainable water future,
Yeah.
and deliver these visions through aligning resources and building commitment to collective success.
So it's about transformation, really.
Exactly. Moving beyond just technical fixes to actually facilitate genuine collaboration and transformation. And traditional leadership models, they often don't fully address that, especially with such diverse stakeholders involved.
Okay. So with all these complex challenges in mind, what should good leadership development look like in this field? What's the kind of gold standard?
Yeah, the study points directly to a model by Macaulay and colleagues from 2010 as a benchmark.
Macaulay, okay.
And it outlines 3 distinct outcomes that water professionals really need to develop.
What are they?
First, self-management capabilities.
Like knowing yourself.
Pretty much. Self-awareness, yeah.
Yeah.
But also balancing conflicting demands, the ability to keep learning from experience, and having really ingrained leadership values.
Okay, that makes sense. What's second?
Second is social capabilities. This covers, building and maintaining relationships, forming effective work groups.
People skills.
Exactly. Communication skills, super important. And also developing others, nurturing talent.
Right. And the third?
And finally, work facilitation capabilities. This gets into essential management skills, strategic thinking, and action.
So doing the work.
Right. Creative problem solving, and that crucial ability to initiate and actually implement change, often in, let's face it, politically charged environments.
Okay, self-management, social work facilitation.
Yeah.
Got it. Now, here's something that really struck me from the study. This idea that pure knowledge, just knowing stuff, is kind of a dead end.
Well, not quite a dead end.
Okay, maybe too strong. But it's necessary, obviously, but not sufficient for sparking real lasting change or influencing others. That feels huge.
It truly is a critical distinction. The study explains that leadership effectiveness, it requires this whole set of competencies, much more than just accumulating facts.
Right.
Programs that focus only on knowledge transfer. At best, you get small, short-term changes.
Okay.
Lasting change, That involves deeper social, cultural factors. It often means fundamentally shifting values, beliefs, attitudes.
And you can't do that in a weekend workshop.
Exactly. You simply can't achieve that with a single lecture or a quick seminar.
So this gets to a crucial philosophical point. Real leader development is a process, right? Not just a one-off event.
Precisely. It needs a systematic approach.
Okay.
A wide variety of developmental experiences, and maybe most importantly, the ongoing chance to actually learn from those experiences, reflect on them.
That makes sense. It reminds me of that 70-20-10 rule you hear about sometimes.
Exactly. This perspective is strongly supported by that 70-20-10 rule for leadership development.
Can you break that down quickly?
Sure. It suggests that nearly 70% of development happens through, like, on-the-job, hands-on developmental experiences, real challenges.
Okay, the bulk of it.
Yeah. Then another 20% comes from working with and learning from other people, mentors, peers, collaborators, even difficult colleagues sometimes.
Learning from others, right.
And only about 10% occurs from formal programs like classroom instruction or workshops.
Wow, only 10% from the formal stuff.
Yeah, it really shifts the focus, doesn't it? From just attending courses to actively engaging and reflecting throughout your career.
So it's about the experience itself. But the study also says not all experiences are created equal, right? There are key things that make an experience truly developmental.
Absolutely. It's not enough just to have an experience. It needs three critical components: assessment, challenge, and support.
Assessment, challenge, support. Okay, let's unpack those. What's assessment mean here?
So assessment means getting solid feedback. Could be empirical data or qualitative insights, but it's information to the individual about their skills, their values, their traits.
It's like a 360 review or something?
Could be, yeah. Or other tools. It's the diagnostic part that motivates improvement and helps see if objectives are actually being met.
Okay. And challenge?
Challenge is about pushing people beyond their comfort zone.
Stretching them?
Exactly. Holding them to higher standards, requiring commitment to new behaviors, and also fostering optimism that they can reach those standards.
And for water issues?
For water, specifically, this often means actively challenging existing ways of thinking, the status quo on environmental issues or management practices.
Got it. And the last one, support.
Support. This involves ongoing personal and professional intervention. It's about creating a safe, encouraging environment where people can actually practice these new skills and behaviors without, excessive fear of failure.
So like coaching or mentoring?
Yes. That's part of it. It includes tailored information, helping build commitment, setting clear goals, providing consistent feedback, and effective role modeling. It's a safety net and the guidance system combined.
Okay, assessment, challenge, support. That makes the experience part much more concrete.
Definitely.
So we've built this picture of the ideal comprehensive capabilities, process-oriented, that triad of assessment, challenge, support. The burning question then is, how do current water leadership programs actually measure up? What did the study find?
Well, this is where it gets quite sobering, honestly.
Oh.
Out of the 30 identified water-related leadership development programs they surveyed, get this, only 4 were found to be both, based on leadership theory, A&D fully following that McCollum model.
Only 4 out of 30.
Only 4, employing assessment, challenge, and support systematically.
Wow.
Which means the vast majority of water professionals are simply not getting the kind of comprehensive developmental experiences they really need for these 21st century challenges.
That's astonishingly low. So what were the specific problems? Where are they falling down?
Well, several areas. Let's start with theoretical grounding.
Okay.
Only 8 of the 30 programs even used any kind of theoretical leadership foundation.
Just 8.
Yeah. And here's the kicker. A striking 18 programs use neither established theory nor even, popular leadership books to ground their content.
So what were they based on? Just intuition?
It seems like it in some cases.
Yep.
And it gets worse. Many program directors actually admitted they didn't even know what theoretically grounded really meant in this context.
Oh, boy. Okay, what about assessment and evaluation? That seemed crucial.
Equally stark. Only 9 programs provided individual-level assessment, meaning feedback to participants about their own development.
Less than a third.
Right. And nearly half 14 programs conducted no type of individual assessment, post-program assessment, or feedback at all.
Wow. It's like sending someone to train for a marathon but never timing them or checking their form.
It's precisely like that.
Yeah?
Zero feedback loop for the learner in many cases.
Okay, what else? Did they look at how long these programs are, the depth?
They did. And that reinforces this kind of event, not process problem we talked about.
Right.
Quality development, it takes time, right?
Uh-huh.
Time for practice, feedback, reflection.
Sure.
The study found the average program length was only about 6.6 months, with an average of just under 68 contact hours.
That doesn't sound like a lot for deep development.
No. And consider this, 17 programs, more than half, lasted less than 7 months, and 8 programs required fewer than 40 contact hours total.
40 hours? That's like one work week spread out.
Exactly. And what's even more telling about the lack of ongoing learning, only 10 programs required individual assignments or group projects between sessions.
So no real learning from experience homework.
Very little opportunity for that structured application and reflection outside the formal meeting times in most programs.
The study also mentioned something about the target audience making a difference.
Yeah, that was interesting. They found that programs specifically targeting students were the most likely to be theory-grounded.
Which makes sense, I guess, in an academic setting.
Right. Whereas those aimed at broader audiences, like all with interest in water or water residents and users, they were largely not theory-grounded.
So maybe a disconnect between academic knowledge and practical community program.
It suggests that, yeah, a potential gap in translating solid leadership principles into programs for the wider community who are often on the front lines of these issues.
Okay, this paints a pretty stark picture then. Given these findings, how do we fix this? What's the path forward to get the leadership we actually need?
Well, the study offers some clear, pretty urgent recommendations.
Good.
First and foremost, there's a critical need for either new programs or significantly revised ones for anyone involved in water resource management.
Okay, start over or fix them.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
And these programs must be grounded in evidence-based theory. No more winging it.
Right. Solid foundations.
They need to offer a variety of developmental experiences and, crucially, that systematic opportunity to learn from the experience, not just attend it.
Process, not just event.
Exactly. And, as we've hammered home, they absolutely must integrate assessment, challenge, and support as core ongoing components.
The crucial triad.
The simple act of just increasing knowledge, pouring information in while necessary, it's just not enough to develop the abilities and skills needed for 21st century water professionals.
It's about competence, not just knowledge.
Precisely.
Yeah.
And finally, and this is key for accountability and improvement,
Yeah.
long-term program evaluation is crucial. We need to assess the actual impact alumni are having on water resource management down the line. Are these programs making a real-world difference?
That makes total sense. Measuring outcomes, not just attendance.
Exactly.
You know, this study, it's obviously focused on water management, but the implications feel much broader.
Oh, definitely.
What really stands out is how these core principles, process over event, assessment, challenge, support, they apply to pretty much any field grappling with complex, fast-moving challenges, right?
Absolutely. Think healthcare, tech, climate change adaptation, urban planning.
Yeah.
It's a universal blueprint, really, for building leaders who can actually handle complexity and drive change.
It really is.
So it may be a final thought to leave people with. As you, the listener, consider the vast challenges facing our shared resources, whether it's water or something else.
Yeah.
What kind of leaders do you think are truly needed to navigate these complexities? And maybe more importantly, how might we as a society invest better in actually developing them to make that lasting impact we need?